Welcome to Opinion or Opportunity. I am your host, Don Gringo, and I would like to thank you for welcoming me to my first actual episode as a YouTube content creator. Currently, I am a podcaster on Spotify, iTunes, and all other major podcasting platforms. I will leave links below, but thank you for joining us. So what we do here and on my podcast is we actually discuss current events, politics, things that affect our lives. So how we're going to walk into this is I'm going to introduce what we do on our podcast, what I'm going to do on this channel. So every introduction, I'm going to obviously introduce myself, but we're also going to give you a brief summary of what we are going to be discussing during the actual show. At that point, though, I have to forewarn you after I give the introduction, I will give the alarm, and the alarm will be your opportunity to leave. Now, I do this because I may actually insult you by accident or on purpose. And it's not my intention if it's by accident. If it is on purpose, well, I'm sorry, you must have, really, really weak soul. So with that being said, and me being the jerk that I have been, let's please move on. So what we're actually going to discuss is we're going to actually talk about the rioting and looting. We're going to talk about the Biden-Harris ticket. I want to talk about the comparison of the DNC and RNC convention, not so much the message, so much from a production point. And a lot of the stuff I did actually obviously talk about on my podcast previously, but since this is my new YouTube channel and this is the actual first episode, I thought it may be best to do a little recap of what's already been discussed. And of course, I really want to talk about the upcoming debates, and of course what's going on in Kenosha and the other areas and how the president and Biden are actually differentiating themselves on this matter. Okay, so with that said, I did warn you there is an alarm, so here we go. I'll give you the alarm. This is your chance to walk away. All right, here we go. Let's get into this. So if you stayed long enough for this, that means you care enough about just how I'm going to do this and where we're going to go from here. Like I said, I may actually insult you, so I'm not purposely trying to in most cases, but some cases I probably will. So what I want to do is, if you stayed this long, I do have a email address which you can reach out to me. I will love to hear back from anybody. It's opinion.opportunity@gmail.com. I also am on Twitter, Opinion or Opportunity, and on Parler as well for Opinion or Opportunity. You can definitely find me there. So let's really get into it. Let's talk about the biggest things that are happening right now, which is the rioting and looting. And I know the election seems to be the biggest thing here, but honestly, my feelings on this are really simple. And I hate to say it this way, but that is actually the truth. That is actually the truth. And let me explain why that's the truth. Because you have, when it comes to outside of the actual protesters who are protesting for, equal treatment and not and on racial bases, you do have a lot of rioters and looters. And this is really seeped into the actual politics of things, which it's a sad thing. And I really do want to point this out that, when it comes down to it, if you're on the right or the left, a lot of this politics showboating isn't for you. If you really do think it's for you, you have a problem. I mean, seriously have a problem. And anyone who would tell me different, just shut your mouth. Plain and simple, shut your mouth. Because honestly, if you're a Democrat, most likely you're going to vote Democrat, right? Unless, obviously, with the polls being changed because of all the rioting that's going on, okay? And this is fact. I don't want to bring up a whole bunch of pages because then people are going to sit there and say, hey, listen, you're looking from a left-wing or right-wing source. But let's just be real about it. Even Bill Maher, Chris Cuomo, and all these different leftist commentators are actually coming out and saying, hey, listen, this rioting is affecting the polls. And now you have a lot of people who would consider themselves Democrats actually considering voting for Trump. And that's a problem. Well, yeah, but the problem started way back when the rioting started happening and the Democrats didn't come out and make a stance on it. right? So Trump did. He came out and I'm the law and order president. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to offer up, federal law enforcement, help. But he's letting the communities ask for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is a political strategy here, because the longer this goes on, the better it is for Trump, because he keeps offering, and these Democratic mayors and governors don't want to take the help. And it is affecting the polling. I mean, let's be honest. But, Biden didn't come out till last Thursday. I mean, let's face it, people. Today's the last day of August, and it took him from last Thursday to actually come out and say, okay, I condemn him. And the only reason why was because that's when all these commentators started making their points that, hey, listen, the polls are changing. And they are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm 100% for Trump. I got to be honest, man. He's not very presidential. I mean, it's taken him 3 years to get as polished, almost 4 years to get as polished as he is today. I'm not saying he's come like leaps and bounds. He has gotten better, but it's not like leaps and bounds. And there's a lot of cringy thing. But when you look at it and you look at what's going on out there, at least the man is acting. Biden's been hiding in the basement, the closet, whatever the media wants to claim it as. And that's just the truth. I mean, this guy isn't even coming out and doing a lot of interviews. It's kind of making me wonder, is he really running for office, or are the Democrats just putting him up to fail? Now, when I say that, I would really hope not, but I think we did this to ourselves as a society here, man, because both parties aren't being held accountable. And if you think they are, they're not. Because, this is the second election where we have to choose from the best of the worst. And I honestly don't think Biden's going to be the best thing. I mean, I'm not saying Trump is great, but damn it, at least the man is taking some type of action, whether you agree with it or not. And I'm not saying I agree with everything he does, but let's really take a look at it. I mean, Biden's sitting there waiting for stuff to happen. He didn't even go to Kenosha today. He's not going to Kenosha tomorrow. Trump is going to be there tomorrow after everyone told him don't come. Now, you may not like it, but as ballsy as he is, he's doing something. So, which also leads me into a lot of the things. Lately we saw how Biden did the whole plagiarism. At the DNC convention, he basically turned around and made the same gaffe he made in 1988 by stealing that guy's speech over there in the UK from 1984. Neil something, starts with a K off the top of my head. But he took that part and put it into this year's DNC speech, and he basically spoke the same speech he did in 2008 with Obama. So is this guy really running? I mean, it lends the credibility to a lot of the conspiracy theories that Biden's not really running. He's going to get in, they're going to get him out of there for mental issues, and all of a sudden now you have Kamala Harris. Which is absurd, because she dropped out in Iowa. Never mind her record. Let's just look at it from a political standpoint. This woman bowed out in Iowa because no one liked her. So the left doesn't like her because she's not progressive enough, and her record will prove that. Okay, she's only kissing ass now to the left, and the right don't like her because she's too left. You can't win. So let's look at the Biden and Harris ticket. And this has been the one thing that I really do think that we need to get some type of clarification on. Biden hasn't come out and really addressed it. Stephen Colbert tried to address it with Kamala Harris, but obviously, Pelosi and everybody else is picking this guy's running mate. It's not Biden. There's no way in hell. This woman came out and basically called him an old pervert racist. And he said, yeah, come on, I want you to run with me. You were better off picking Susan Rice there, buddy. Everyone had you pegged for Susan Rice. And yes, she has her own baggage. But the woman didn't come out and call you an old racist pervert, and that she believes the sexual assault victims that claim that you did some pretty dirty deeds. And I don't care who you are. If you are a never Trumper or wherever your stance is on Trump, you don't like him. And yes, Trump has had his own things brought up against him. But he didn't turn around and ask those people, or his campaign didn't turn around and say, hey, listen, you made this allegation, we're going to overlook it, I want you to run with me. And then you turn around and say, okay, and then you want to come out and say that this is, now all of a sudden he's a good guy. And then when Stephen Colbert turns around and calls you out, Stephen Colbert, leftist guy as there is, calls you on it. It's a debate. It's a debate? Really? You think we're that stupid? And if you do believe it, that's for you, buddy. Or ma'am, or whoever. If you believe that bullshit, that's what it is. Seriously. And know what you deserve? So we're going to move on. Obviously, the rioting and looting is a big problem. And I think at this point, what we got to do is we got to talk about it from a realistic point of view. So if you're out there rioting and looting to prove a point, the reverse is happening right now. Instead of having that open dialogue, instead of having that way of, talking to someone, and I'm not saying talking to listen, I'm really talking and respond, I'm talking to really hear. Because here's the thing, if you're going to change someone's point of view, you have to have some type of rapport with them. Now, I fully believe that none of us are 100% conservative or liberal. I go right down the line. I say it, and I say it in a very insulting way, and the way I put it is it's simply this. I believe, okay, and when the liberal part of me believes, listen, you want to go out and smoke marijuana, go out and smoke marijuana, I don't care. I don't particularly do it, but it doesn't bother me if you do. Go ahead and go do it, okay? I'm very liberal on prostitution. Woman wants to go do it, go do it, okay? That's on you. But I'm very conservative about my First Amendment, Second Amendment rights. And you should be too. Now, with that being said, and coming to hopefully the conclusion here together, and we can continue to explore this down the road, but there are things that we agree on, and I would request that you really take the time to step back, pause the video, and say, do I agree with that? There are things that I'm liberal on, but there are things I'm conservative on. And what I mean by that too is, let's break it down to fundamental more points. I think that we're probably all very conservative, that we want what's best for our family, safety, security, opportunity, education, things that way. Now, we may differ on how we get there, but we all agree on stuff. And now we're blowing it so far out of proportion because we let the media dictate our emotions. You let these celebrities and politicians and these media outlets tell you how to feel. And every day you wake up, and the only emotion you can have, because every day it's pretty much like a shock, is ah, caray, oh my God, wow, really? How far we got to fall? And I guarantee you this, as much as, we have the left saying America isn't as good, and the right saying, no, Americans exceptionalism, excuse me, duh. When you go to any other country, they believe in their country for the most part. So I'm sorry, on the left, that's something you're not gonna sway me, that we're not a great nation. That there isn't a way for us to get better and to build on and to come to the full equality that the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and everything that has afforded us, maybe not equally, but could be. And if you don't believe that, I think it's like $2,000 to give up your American citizenship. You probably should leave. And that's just the truth of it. Okay, and it's a funny thing, after every election you hear all these celebrities and politicians, I'm leaving. You don't. Very rarely you do. I mean, maybe one or two of you have. Or maybe it's the rich celebrity saying, hey, listen, I'm not giving up my citizenship, but I'm going to go spend time in my vacation home over here in another country. Please, stop kidding yourselves and stop trying to kid us. We're all not stupid. Okay, so let's talk about the last thing here before we try to wrap up the segment, and try not to go too crazy on the first day, because like I said, it's not going to be for everyone. I'm not for everyone. And for those of you like me, because I'm trying to be as reasonable as possible, I appreciate you sticking around, and I appreciate any support you can give me as far as, you know, liking, subscribing, and what have you. But let's just finish this up. So let's look at the two conventions, okay? And the problem I have with the conventions is this. The Democrats just keep fucking this up. It's very hard for me to look at the Democrats and sit there and say, hey man, I'm going to go with you. They knew the format of their convention before the RNC. And what I mean by that is Trump tried for so long to actually have a whole bunch of people stage it in one place, the whole 9 yards. In 2016, Trump walloped the DNC in digital media and marketing. There's no one who can deny that. That's how he won. And here we are 4 years later, and the production quality was, oh my God, horrible compared to the RNC, and they had a shorter amount of time to do it. Now, I'm not going to talk about the White House backdrop for Trump. I'm just talking in general. The production quality was, like, hands down better. And I'm not talking message here. I'm just trying to sit here and think out loud and be like, you know, I honestly believe at this point, and I think you need to, and I think you need to really take a step back and think, you know, you got to get rid of Biden. You got to get rid of Pelosi. You got to get rid of these older Democrat people because, you know, Trump comes out and he buys the biggest YouTube ad campaign for politics ever. Right? Everyone's already seen it and called it. I mean, especially if you've been hanging around these type of circles. And Biden's first big ad buy is TV. I'm really confused here. Is he running? Because I'm not saying no one watches TV no more, but, you know, people get their media from a lot more different outlets today than they used to. And I'm not talking 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, but just talk about it. I mean, I have the computer. I got two. You can see another one in the background. I got an iPad Pro. I got an iPhone. I got the iWatch, right? I mean, I'm getting my news every which way but TV, because I don't spend a lot of time on TV watching news. I don't. And there's no reason for me to, because I hate commercials, and if I'm going to watch TV, I'm probably going to watch a movie. Why do you think Netflix and everyone else is so big? So the problem I have here is I'm not sure if Biden's really running. It really begs if he's running to win. And if he's running to win, why is he hiding? Why didn't he go to Kenosha? I mean, he made the claim at the convention that he was going to be everybody's president. But you let Trump beat you to Kenosha? And then you're going to come out after the fact saying, oh, I denounced the violence, but I want to see Trump do it. Everyone knows he's been denouncing the violence and willing to send in federal law enforcement. I mean, seriously. Seriously. So I'm not on the Trump train. But the problem I have here is you want me to compare him to Biden. Now, with that being said, Biden doesn't have the greatest record either. I mean, he made these gaffes. I mean, he was called out in 1988 for plagiarism. Not just that, but in 1988, and I'll put the link below, okay? He was even caught on camera lying about his education. And then he had to come to terms and confess he lied. So this is not like, oops, Joe Biden made a mistake. He's been making the same goddamn mistake since 1988, caught on video, on the news. And this is what the DNC wants you to vote for. This is the same man who just turned around and came out and said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. I mean, seriously, people. Seriously, people. What do we need to do here to finally get these parties to offer us something good candidates? But that's just my thing. So let's talk about opportunities here, because we talked about my opinion, but let's talk about opportunities. So first and foremost, I think Pelosi's coming up for an election. We got to get her out regardless. I mean, I would love to some days be able to look and say that that Democratic nominee is better than what the Republicans are putting up. Would love to, but can't do it, you know. And then, you know, stop putting up a California Democrat, because those California Democrats have really nothing to stand on. They're standing on legs that have been kicked out from underneath them because they come from a state that's broker than fuck. Okay, so they have one of the highest taxes in the whole country, cost of water's highest in the country. They got rolling blackouts, highest homeless population, and literally in their communities they have shit patrol, human feces cleanup, because the homeless just don't care. Why do you think other people are leaving? And now California wants to try to institute that law, that tax law, where if you decide you're going to leave, they can go back and they can get their taxes for 10 years if you're rich, because they claim you made your money in California. Not that you earned your money any which way, shape, and form, but you owe them. So for instance, with Joe Rogan leaving, if they passed this law prior to him leaving, and yes, I believe he's going to Texas or something like that, I don't know for sure, don't quote me on that, but regardless, he's leaving. If they pass this law, if he is above the threshold or meets the threshold, they're going to come after him for 10 years retro for taxes or whatever it's going to be, something stupid. And these are the people you put up. They can't even run their own state, and you want them to run the country. Stop putting up scumbags. You know what? At the end of the day, people, the opportunity really here is you really need to leave your party. Independents have it the best. And let me explain why independents have it the best. Everybody wants their vote. When you look at, you know, national elections, okay, 44% of the people normally vote Democrat. 42% normally vote Republican. There's like 5 or 8% that's like libertarian or whatever have you. And then the rest of that, so that's like 10 or better percent, that's the independent vote. Those are the people who actually, for the most part, help one side win the election. So when you see all this showboating and all this stuff, if you're a person who just runs the ticket Democrat, runs the ticket Republican, they're not trying for your vote. It's not for you. If you do think it's for you, you don't believe me? Yeah, let me say it again. You don't matter. They've already counted your vote. You know whose vote they want? They want the independent vote. They want the people who think for themselves. The people who aren't going to just take everything for granted and turn around and say, okay, well, I'm just going to give it to this party because, you know what, I believe in everything they do. Because I got to be honest, I don't believe 100% either way, and I don't think anyone in the world believes 100% either way. If you do, you're a goddamn robot. Because I guarantee you, if we sat face to face, I could find an issue that you flake on. Because we all do, we're human. We all have individual needs, individual experiences. They're not all the same. So I think the opportunity here is to leave the party. Everyone, or as many people as possible, should become independent. You need to make them work for your vote. What have they given you? What has Joe Biden given you? I mean, he's got like 2 major pieces of legislation, right? 2 major pieces of legislation. And one of them he's trying to run away from because he put more black people in jail than anybody else. What do you may say? Truth. Now all of a sudden, this is the man that's going to save you. Got it. And don't get me started on Trump. I mean, this man just thinks he can do whatever the hell he wants to do. But, you know, the only good thing here is that we do have a 3-step government. He just can't do whatever he wants, right? But I want to say this. I want to say this, and I mean this. So Hillary Clinton, and I know I'm going to wrap it up, but Hillary Clinton said that Joe Biden shouldn't concede no matter what. And Biden said, well, the military will force Trump out. And the military said they're not getting in the middle of an election. So that's out. That's how smart this man is. Been in politics 47 years and got that one wrong too, Joe. But, you know, this is what really happens. And I think what we're looking at here, and this is why someone like Nancy Pelosi, you know, bag of bones Pelosi is what I call her, because she's like a bag of bones. And, you know, the only thing she has going for her is, you know, the left wing, because they love her, because she's just anti-Trump, period. So the Speaker of the House can't even negotiate with the president because she doesn't want to get her way. Okay, but this is the kicker here, people. So on January 20th, noon, January 20th, if the election hasn't been called and a winner elected, Nancy Pelosi becomes acting president. Think about that. So Hillary Clinton just came out and said, Joe, you shouldn't concede no matter what. So the goal here is, no matter what, is to get Joe Biden, Kamala Harris elected, or plan B, get Pelosi in. Think about it. Now, I'm not saying she'll be there long, but she'll be in there long enough to cause a problem, right? Because that would literally cause a problem. I think the last president who got in this way was Thomas Jefferson, I believe, and I think it was his first term. And what ends up happening is, if this goes the way of Pelosi becoming acting president, then I believe it's the House, and it's not done by members of Congress, it's done by state. They do basically a roll call, and whoever wins by that way wins. I believe that's the way it works. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're hearing all this, that is actually a possibility that could happen. I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. So let's wrap it up. This is the first one. I'll try to get at least episodes out every, say, Monday or Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday, twice a week. I want to see how it goes. By all means, hit me up. Again, I'm on Parler. I'm on Twitter. You can find me on Gmail. Again, on Twitter and Parler, it's opinion or opportunity. And on Gmail, opinion.opportunity@gmail.com. And again, I'll put the links to the podcast. I try to do a once a week podcast, and I do it longer than I'm doing this. But I definitely want to get out there. Thank you so much for seeing us. If you liked my thoughts and opinions, please do a like on the bottom. Please share. And I will see you next episode.